Good evening and welcome to Point of View. I'm Chris Berg. Thanks so much for joining us. America's heartland is winning again. That's the subject of tonight's Point of View. Yes, the Trump administration is making rural America prosperous again by utilizing what's known as the art of the deal. When President Trump first proposed his tariffs on Chinese goods, I told you, I said, look, just slow down a minute. This is the art of the deal. These are just proposals. This is the negotiation phase. We're going to have to wait and see how this whole thing plays out. Well, many other people were screaming, you know, the sky is falling, just like Chicken Little was. So after some of the art of the deal, then finally today, President Trump tweeted this out. He says, China has agreed to buy massive amounts of additional farm agriculture products, would be one of the best things to happen to our farmers in many years. And he goes on to say, under our potential deal with China, they will purchase from our great American farmers practically as much as our farmers can produce. Can you say winning? This is huge news for the heartland, North Dakota, Minnesota. And then yesterday on Fox News Sunday, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin said, hey, look, we're going to put this whole, supposed trade war on hold for a moment. And then he went on to say this about China buying more made in America products.
We are immediately going to follow this up with Secretary Ross going there with very hard commitments in agriculture, where we expect to see a very big increase, 35 to 40% increases in agriculture this year alone. In energy, doubling the energy purchases. I think that you could see $50, $60 billion a year of energy purchases over the next 3 to 5 years.
35 to 40% increase in our egg products, 50 to 60%, 50 million more in energy products. This, my friends, is called winning in the heartland. This is winning in North Dakota. And my concern is that right now we've got a U.S. senator that just does not seem to really understand negotiation, business deals, and especially foreign policy. I'm going to lay out for you tonight exactly what I'm talking about. When you see this all laid out, I think you've got to ask yourself some very serious questions about Senator Heidi Heitkamp. This is the presser that Senator Heitkamp put out in early April of this year regarding the supposed tariffs or trade war. Heitkamp stresses the president harmful impact of proposed tariffs across rural America. Key word there is, again, proposed. It's not in stone. It's proposed. This, my friends, is called the art of the deal. Maybe I should send Senator Heitkamp a copy of the art of the deal, because I really honestly believe it would make an impact on how she goes about some of these ways that she sees things. We hear a lot from Senator Heitkamp, how she always says, look, I'm going to stand with the people of North Dakota. I'm going to stand with our farmers and ranchers. But she really missed out, obviously, on this trade deal, which is going to be huge, huge for North Dakota. Also, one thing that's important to note, did you know this about a majority of our farmers? Their number one concern, their number one worry today, it's not weather, it's not input costs, but for a majority of our farmers, it's actually health care costs. Many of you probably remember this article as of late. It was talking about how farmers, not this graphic, guys, the one about the article, it was farmers, the number one worry is health care costs. The thing you got to ask yourself is, do you know that farmers and ranchers, they predominantly right now, they get their health care costs in what's called the individual market, or the Obamacare exchange. You may remember Senator Heitkamp was one of the key votes to actually keep Obamacare in place in 2017 when the GOP was not able to repeal and replace it. Now, her vote could have made a huge difference to get rid of the health care exchange, the Obamacare exchange, which is really having a tremendous impact on our farmers, and yet she chose party over our farmers and our ranchers. And I say that specifically because this is the average increase in premium costs for our farmers and ranchers just over the last 4 years. And this is a large part because of the Obamacare exchange. In 2015, healthcare costs or premiums were up 8.37%. In 2016, another 11%, more up in 2017, and now up in 2018, almost 17% increase in your premium health care costs. That is why this is a major worry for our farmers. That is why it was a bad thing when Senator Heitkamp voted to keep the Obamacare exchanges in place. Then you just heard Secretary Mnuchin talk about what the China deal is going to do for energy exports. He suggested they will actually double to China. Again, huge news for North Dakota. But I want to remind you, Senator Heitkamp voted against North Dakota energy producers when Heitkamp voted to uphold the methane flaring rule. She voted to have the feds regulate this rather than the state of North Dakota. We already have regs in place for this. Let me ask you a very simple question. Is there anything that the federal government does better than North Dakotans? Regulation is clearly not one of them, and yet Heidi Rodham Clinton voted to keep federal regulations in place rather than just let you and I, the North Dakotans, take care of this, which is the best place it should be handled. Now, the other thing Senator Heitkamp also said is that GOP tax cuts would hurt you and I, North Dakotans. I don't know about you, but everybody I talk to has got more money in their paycheck every 2 weeks now. Even the CBO said we had a record revenue month just in April, in large part because of these tax cuts. So I don't know who's getting hurt by this plan, but if you look at the data, which is very important, clearly this tax plan is making not only America great again, but North Dakota great as well. Also want to remind you, foreign policy, in my opinion, I think Senator Heidi Heitkamp is dangerously naive when it comes to foreign policy. This is the Iran deal that she voted for. She said this was a good thing. I want to show you this. Secretary of Defense Bob Gates, he served under President Bush and President Barack Obama. Now, Bob Gates was on Face the Nation recently. He said this about the Iran deal, and please listen closely what he has to say, because I'm going to show you why Senator Heidi Heitkamp says she supports it.
I think it was a flawed agreement. We were supposed to get anytime, anyplace inspections, and to have an inspections regime where the Iranians can say, you can't look at any of our military facilities, where would you most logically put a nuclear program except on a military facility?
The deal is so bad that Secretary Gates is literally laughing about it, and yet Senator Heitkamp wrote on why she supports the deal. She said this. She goes, if Iran seeks to cheat using secret facilities, we will find out. Not according to Bob Gates. Top experts have confirmed to me they will quickly be able to detect even the smallest traces of nuclear material if the U.S. suspects Iran is cheating. Neither Iran nor Russia nor China could prevent inspectors from receiving access anywhere in the country, she says, including, which Bob Gates just refuted, military facilities and covert sites. Dangerously naive. That is the complete opposite we just heard there from Secretary of Defense Bob Gates. And yet, of course, we all remember this soundbite. This is Senator Heidi Heitkamp on MSNBC.
I think because we aren't trusting Assad, we're trusting the Russians to come to the table to force their ally.
You're trusting the Russians?
We're trusting Russia's intent.
Why would anybody trust the Russians? Their intent with Syria and Assad, a dictator, a butcher, and she's going to trust the Russians with that man? So I just laid this out for you, and I want you to ask where Senator Heidi Heitkamp stands. Is it with North Dakota, or is it with her party and Chuck Schumer? Trade deal, missed on that. Didn't see the art of the deal that was happening. Obamacare, she voted to keep that in place. It is now crushing our farmers because of the premium and the health care costs that they are being buried under with these Obamacare exchanges. You've got the GOP tax cut. She said it's going to hurt North Dakotans. It's not. The Iran deal, trusting Russia. We've got a very important decision to make in November. I want to lay out these issues for you so when you end up doing what you believe is right for you and your family, you've got all the accurate information. And that's tonight's point of view.